This video will show you how to use Manage Job Sites to create, edit, and archive sites and boundaries. Click Manage Job Sites from the top of the page, and from the drop-down list, you'll notice that I already have several sites created. Sites can be created to match physical job sites for the project. Each site is unique and may have one or more boundaries within the site. Sites should not overlay, but boundary overlap is allowed. Entering a site address is not mandatory, but is considered best practice. So let's create a new site. We'll click Add Site, and we'll find our location on the map. But before we do that, let's go ahead and give it a site name. So let's say Vancouver, and put a begin date and an end date, picking something far out into the future using our calendar control. Okay, we have a project start and end date. Next, we need to physically locate the project on the map. So I'll use my map controls and zoom in and out until I find the correct location. Here somewhere in Vancouver. Scrolling over until I find where the job site is located. All right, so we're going to work on the airport. So we will go ahead and create our boundary here. Let's center our map so that we can see everything. Using our polygon tool, we will click on and create the large geofence that's needed. Clicking the little square, the first point, to close the shape. All right, we now have a project site. We'll scroll down to the bottom and we'll give it a different color so we can clearly see it on the map. And then best practice is to always give the job site address. Giving a contact name wherever possible. I'll select Canada, okay, and we'll select British Columbia, and we'll say accept. Our site has now been created. So let's go ahead and create some boundaries within that, since we have two phases of the project. So we'll click on the polygon tool again, and this will be phase 1. Again, scrolling down and possibly changing that to be a different color. We'll make this one red, and we'll call this phase 1. And I'll accept. Now let's say I have phase 2 and I want to go ahead and create that now as well. Again, I'll click on my polygon tool and I'll create a phase 2. Scrolling down, changing the color if so desired, and either giving a name or we will call it phase 2. I'm going to accept as well. And you can see it successfully updated. I'll go back and just give myself more space and collapse that again and go back up here. Now, let's say I made a mistake and I needed to edit or correct the boundary. We were awarded a little bit more for phase 2. So I will click on my edit tool and you see that all the dotted lines can be editable. But we'll just edit this one. I'll make the boundary slightly bigger and I'll say save. Accept my changes, so I don't forget to do that when I get finished, and I'm good. Now, if for some reason you have to delete a boundary, you can go back in and do that. Click on the delete tool, and then carefully select whatever it is you're going to delete, phase 2. And you notice that that's deleted, and I'll do save. Now, when your projects are finished, let me do accept one more time, and you decide you have too many projects in your drop-down list, you might want to go ahead and archive the project. To archive a project, select it from the drop-down list, and we'll say that we actually want to archive Vancouver, even though we just recently created it, and we'll scroll to the bottom, and we'll say Archive, and Accept. If you want to see that project later in your drop-down list, do Show Archive, and the project will be available. That brings us to the end of this session. Please continue on with other training videos.